There are houses that are far away. There are also houses that are extremely crowded, but there are also some houses that seem like they're not part of this world or like they're on another planet. There are homes built on top of ice. There are also some in the middle of a lava field or on top of rocks that are almost level with the clouds. There are no neighbors here, no electricity, no signal, and you're surrounded only by silence and nature. And if you're thinking of escaping the chaotic world, you might like one of these houses. In this video, we'll talk about different houses around the world that seem like they're from another dimension. But before that, please like and subscribe. That would mean a lot to us content creators. Thank you. And now let's get started. Number 15, Ellidae Island Lodge, a house in the middle of nowhere. Have you ever imagined being the only person on an entire island? In Iceland, there's a small house in the middle of the ocean, the Ellidae Island Lodge. It's one of the most isolated but coolest houses that exist today. It's in the center of the Best Manager archipelago in southern Iceland. This lodge was built in the 1950s as a hunting cabin for puffin hunters. It's a solitary structure on top of a green hill surrounded by steep cliffs and a seemingly endless sea. No electricity, no neighbors. Your only companions are the wind, the waves, and the seabirds. The inside is simple, just the basics, no gadgets, no signal, and the water is just collected from the rain. The vibe is like a digital detox retreat where you're really unplugged, but it's not easy to get here. You need a boat, courage, and strong knees to climb the slippery and steep rocks. The question is, can you live in a place where your only companions are silence and nature? Number 14, Villa Epecuen, Argentina. Do you want a setting that feels like a post-apocalyptic movie? In Argentina, there's a ghost town that was literally submerged in water, and now only one person lives there. Villa Epecuen used to be a popular tourist spot in the middle of the 20th century. People visited it because of the salty lake that was said to have healing effects. But in 1985, the dam broke and the entire town was flooded. The water reached a depth of almost 30 feet. Decades passed, and when the water subsided, what emerged were rusty and destroyed buildings, streets covered with salt, and wrecked vehicles. It looked like a place abandoned by time. But here's the surprising part. There's still someone living here. Pablo Novak is the last resident of Villa Epecuen. No electricity, no internet, and no neighbors. He endures the silence and emptiness every day. This isn't about being a weirdo, it's a choice. Giving up the modern world to live with the memories of the past. In the silence of this place, you can feel how deeply isolation affects a person. Number 13, Drina River House, Serbia. A tiny house sits in the middle of the river. If you're thinking about where you can escape from the chaos of the city, how about in the middle of a river? The Drina River House in Serbia is a small wooden house standing on top of a rock. In the middle of the flowing Drina River, it looks like something out of a children's book. Small, quiet, and surrounded by water and mountains. Its origin comes from a childhood story. In the 1960s, a few young men were looking for a quiet place far from people. So using a boat, wood, and their own resourcefulness, they built this house on top of a rock. Since then, floods have destroyed it multiple times, but it has been repeatedly rebuilt, symbolizing strength and determination. Inside, it's simple. Just the basic necessities, no electricity, no Wi-Fi. The only sounds are the flow of water and the chirping of birds. Could you live in a house like this if your only neighbors were the fish and the waves? Number 12, Death Valley Cabin, United States of America. A house in the hottest place in America. Do you really want to experience something truly deserted? There's a house in the middle of Death Valley in California that's called the driest residence in America. In a place where the heat reaches over 120 degrees Fahrenheit, there's a minimalist cabin standing as if it was challenged by the desert. No air conditioning, no neighbors, but the view is solid. Mountains, desert, and sunsets that look like they're straight out of a sci-fi movie. It was built as an off-grid shelter. No electricity from the grid, no internet, and water has to be collected or brought in. The house is built to withstand extreme heat and a harsh environment. At night, while the whole world is busy with social media, here you can see the entire galaxy. Here, the stars are the real television. You can rent this out on Airbnb, but it's not for everyone. Those who tried it said the experience was life-changing. This isn't a staycation. This is an escape from everything. Number 11, San Colombano Hermitage, Italy. A house literally anchored to a cliff. Can you live in a house where one wrong step and it's a cliff right away? In the northern part of Italy, the San Colombano Hermitage is attached to the side of a steep rock, an old place of prayer that seems to float in the air. It is connected to the very steep cliff of the Tramboleno region, and from here you can see a rushing river below. It was built back in the 8th century. This sanctuary is for monks who are seeking complete silence. According to legend, Saint Colombano killed a dragon in this very valley, which is why the place was named after him. To get here, you need to climb 102 stone steps that feel like a staircase leading up to heaven. Inside, you'll find a small chapel in a room carved right into the rock. There's no noise from the modern world, no distractions, just the wind's whisper and prayers from the past. Many monks and hermits have lived here for centuries. For them, this is the perfect place to turn away from the chaos of the world and focus only on God in silence. Number 10, Saint Cadu Island, France. This small island feels legendary. If you're looking for a place that looks magical and peaceful, this might be it. Saint Cadu Island in France. In the middle of the Etel River, there's a small island that seems cut off from the present. It's like you've entered a fairy tale. There's a narrow stone bridge connecting the island, and according to legend, it was built by Saint Cadu with the help of angels. In the middle of the island, there's a 12th century chapel and some old fishermen's houses. But the main highlight here is a small house standing alone on a rock rising above the water. It's called the House of the Oyster Collector, and it's literally separated from everything. It's like it's saying, don't bother me. The surroundings are peaceful. The only things you'll hear are the calls of seabirds and the gentle crashing of the waves. No cars, no noise. For some visitors, it's like they've moved to another world. Could you live in a place where it feels like time has stopped? Number 9, Just Room Enough Island, Canada. A house fits perfectly on this tiny island. It's barely bigger than the house, almost like a joke. But it's true, there's an island that's just the right size for a single house, and it's called Just Room Enough Island. It's in the middle of the St. Lawrence River and covers about 3,300 square feet. Just enough for a house, a few plants, and a small patio. There's no extra space. This Iceland family owns the island, who were just looking for a quiet place before, but when they built the house, it became an instant attraction. Guinness World Records recognize this as the world's smallest inhabited island. Here, you're close to nature. You can see the water from every window, and with each step, you're already off the island. But despite being small, it's perfect for those who want to avoid the stress and hassle of city life. The question is, do you really need a large piece of land to call a place your home? Number 8, Lagangarb. Hot Scotland is the small house at the base of the giant mountain. In the middle of the cold, green, and rugged mountains of Scotland, there is a small house that looks like it came from a story by Grandma Bashang, the Lagangarb Hut. You can find it at the foot of Boachili Etivimor, one of the most famous mountains in all of Scotland. It was originally built by the Scottish Mountaineering Club as a resting place for hikers and climbers, but now it's also known as one of the most picture-perfect places for those who want to escape the noise of the world. It's surrounded by vast grasslands, clear rivers, and a sky that constantly changes color. You won't hear anything but the rustling of the wind and the footsteps of sheep. No signal, no Wi-Fi, but the scenery is incredibly rich. If you want to forget city life and quietly reflect while gazing at distant mountains, this might be the hut for you. Number 7, Tridrengavidi Lighthouse, Iceland. It looks like a wizard's house standing on top of a rock. This is one of the scariest but coolest residences in the whole world. The Tridrengavidi Lighthouse, or more commonly known as the Three Rock Lighthouse of Iceland. It stands on top of a steep rock jutting out from the ocean. It is almost 120 feet high from the sea and is in the middle of nowhere. You're only surrounded by waves, wind, and clouds. This was built way back in 1938 to 1939 using only ropes and the courage of the workers. There were no helicopters back then, so they literally climbed the rocky cliffs to build this. Now, no one guards it. The lighthouse is now fully automated, but maintenance teams still visit it from time to time. Imagine one night here, no neighbors, just the sea, wind, and silence. Is it scary or more like a dream getaway? Number 6, Lyngstubbe Lighthouse, Norway, a lighthouse at the world's end. If you want to experience what it's like to be at the very edge of the world, go to Lyngstubbe Lighthouse in Norway. It is located at the northernmost part of the Lyngen Peninsula, right on the edge of the Arctic Sea. Here, there are no vehicles, no houses around. All you can hear are the crashing of the waves and the cries of birds in the sky. To get here, you need to walk from the small village of Russell. It's far, cold, and muddy, but in return, you get to see the endless ocean. Sometimes whales pass by, and in winter, you can see the northern lights dancing in the sky. From May to July, the sun doesn't set either, so you're in daylight all day long. It's perfect for people who want to be alone, connect with nature, and forget about modern life, even just for a while. Number 5, Lookout Cabin in the Cascade Mountains, United States of America. A house in the clouds that can only be reached by hiking. Imagine this. You're above the clouds at the top of a mountain, and the only things you can hear are the chirping of birds and the blowing of the wind. That's also the vibe at the Lookout Cabin located in the Cascade Mountains in Washington State, United States of America. It's almost 7,000 feet high, and to get here, you need to hike 5 miles from the nearest trailhead. There's no road, no vehicles, and definitely no neighbors. Originally, this was built as a fire lookout back in the day, but now it's a secret escape for adventurers who want peace and views that look like a laptop wallpaper. You have no signal, no television, and your only nighttime light comes from millions of stars. If you prefer the sound of mountains over ringtones, this might be your place. Number 4, Crystal Mill, Colorado, United States of America. Like something out of a postcard, the abandoned mill perched on a cliff in the middle of the Colorado mountains looks like it came from a fairy tale. Crystal Mill. It was built in the late 1800s to provide power to miners, but now it's one of the most famous symbols of solitude in America. It stands on the edge of a cliff beside a river that's crystal clear and surrounded by forests and steep mountains. To reach Crystal Mill, you can't take the expressway. You need to take a 4x4 vehicle or hike or mountain bike through the muddy roads. There's no electricity, no Wi-Fi, and no signal. But in exchange, you get scenery that looks like an oil painting, a silence that makes you feel like you're the only person in the world, and the feeling of going back to the 19th century. Ideal for anyone wanting to unplug, literally. Number 3, Isle of Egg, Scotland. The little paradise owned by the community, a small island on the west coast of Scotland. And it's called the Isle of Egg. But don't underestimate it. With an area of 12 square miles and a population of less than 100, it's one of the most inspiring places in the world. What's impressive is that the entire island is owned and managed by the residents themselves. They decide and set the rules. And they also produce their own electricity using solar, wind, and hydropower. No traffic, no noise, and almost no internet. But they have wildlife, beaches, steep cliffs, and mountains you can climb. And of course, peace of mind that you can't buy anywhere. Here, the strength is in the community. If you want to experience a simple, sustainable, and peaceful life, maybe AI is the new definition. Freedom. Second, Casa do Penedo in Portugal, a house built entirely from stone. Casa do Penedo looks like it's straight out of a movie, a unique house wedged between huge rocks in the mountains of Portugal. Its appearance is so surreal, you'd think it's just a set design, but this is a real house. Its name, Penedo, means rock in Portuguese, and this is no ordinary house. This is a very quiet and rustic place that was intentionally built as a private getaway for a family. With no electricity or signal, this place is perfect if you want a nap surrounded only by the sounds of wind and birds. At night, candles in the fireplace light your way. In the morning, endless mountains fill your view. Now, the place is a mini museum, but many people still come just to experience what it's like to live in a house that's literally surrounded by nature. Question: can you give up city life for a quiet house that looks like it was swallowed by two giant rocks? Number 1, Skiddaw House, England. The most secluded house in all of England. Welcome to Skiddaw House, the officially most isolated house in all of England. It is located in the middle of the Lake District at over 1,500 feet high and is surrounded by mountains, grasslands, and wild animals. No road leads here. You need to hike several miles, follow the trail, and endure the unpredictable weather of the United Kingdom. But for those determined to escape the modern world, all the effort is worth it. It was originally built as a shelter for shepherds, but eventually became a youth hostel. There's no internet, no electricity, and the water comes from a natural spring. Here, your only neighbors are sheep, deer, and sometimes eagles. Recently, Skiddaw House was sold, and many people became curious if they could live in such a remote place. But the question for you is, are you ready to give up city life in exchange for peace, isolation, and nightly views of millions of stars? Bonus topic number 1, the house on top of a pillar, Catski Pillar, Georgia. A house on top of a rock. Yes, that's true. In the country of Georgia, there is a small house perched on top of a very tall limestone pillar. It's called the Catski Pillar. The rock is over 150 feet tall and stands like a tower in the middle of a vast forest. Previously, people didn't think anyone could live on it. But in the early 2000s, say, Monk climbed the rock, and he literally lived there for more than 2 decades. There's a small chapel, a room, and just a few belongings. To get supplies, he uses a pulley system. And to go up, you have to climb a very steep staircase, carrying your courage with you. This is not just a house. It is a symbol of faith and being totally disconnected from the world. Could you live on top of a pillar like this, where your closest neighbors are the clouds? Bonus topic number 2, a house on a rock, the Rock Restaurant, Zanzibar. On the coast of Zanzibar in Africa, there's a unique house that seems to float in the middle of the sea. It's called the Rock, and yes, it's literally perched on top of a big rock in the middle of the water. When it's low tide, you can walk to the house on the sand, but when it's high tide, you need a boat. This house used to be a simple cottage, but now it's become a restaurant. But the living space here remains unique. Imagine, while you're having lunch, you're surrounded by the sea, the breeze, and tranquility. No city noise, traffic, or Wi-Fi, just the sound of waves as music. If you want to escape from everything, this is probably the best house in the middle of nowhere. Bonus topic number 3, a house hanging on a cliff, Cliff House, Australia. Some houses are beside mountains, but this one is perched on a cliff. It's literally hanging. An architectural firm in Australia introduced what they call the Cliff House, a modern house that's literally attached to the side of a rock and hanging in the air. It has 5 floors and each level faces the ocean. It's like living inside a vertical glass tube. All views, all sky, all waves. To get inside, there's a walkway connected to the top of the cliff. From there, the stairs go down. It's like an elevator inside a cliff. You don't have neighbors, there's no road, and it's definitely not for those with vertigo. But if you love a quiet, modern, and extreme lifestyle, the Cliff House is the most epic home for you.